Okay, welcome to your meth training. I am Garth Haslam, the home medic. The purpose for this class is to get you up to speed on how to actually do a meth remediation. It is assumed that you have already completed the state requirement, you've done the studying, you've done the testing, you've figured out everything you need to know so that you can pass their test. So it is assumed that you are now to that point. In this course, we're going to describe to you how to actually, right now you know how to pass the test. We're going to get you to the point where you can actually do the remediation, and those are two very different things. I'm giving you this information based on almost 10 years of having been in the business and having made a lot of mistakes. The information that you're getting, pretty much everything that I have has been through at least 3 to 5 iterations of let's try this, well that doesn't work, let's try that, and that doesn't work, and we could do better if we did this over here, and you're just getting the end result. Every little thing that I'm going to be telling you has been through that process, and it won't seem like a big deal, but just trust me that my eyes have taken a beating, my lungs have taken a beating. Even with one of the chemicals that I was using, my mood and my married relationship took a beating because one of those chemicals actually affected my mood. And so, I learned to get rid of that one as well. And that's not, I'm gonna mention that particular chemical in the training, but that's not one that I'm recommending that you use for not just that reason, but for a number of others, and I'll get into that. In this particular segment, I want to talk about the big picture procedure for what a remediation process looks like. And so I'm going to go through the process in a little bit more detail, but generally the biggest picture overview of it is that first you get approval, then you write the work plan and get it approved. Then you actually begin the physical work of doing the remediation. Remediation gets done. Now you're going to sample the house, and based on your knowledge of having passed the test, I'm not going to go over what sampling looks like. We'll hit that briefly in another segment. But you sample the house, you send those results into the lab, you wait, and then if you got to do it again, then you do it again. And usually you have to do it again at least once. So you sample, you wait, you send it to the lab, and or you sample, you send it to the lab, and you wait. And you repeat that process 2 or 3 times. Then once you've got results, you write the final report, and you get together with the county, and you're going to do the final sign-off and get paid, not necessarily in that latter order. You've got to make sure that you get paid before the customer gets what he wants, or you might not get paid. So we're going to go down that road. So now I'm going to go through the same procedure again, but in a little bit more detail, because now you kind of get the big picture, but here goes. So what I tell people when I get those phone calls from somebody who needs a meth remediation done. First off is I do not try to sell them on myself. What I do is I talk to them. I try to listen for what their needs are. I'm compassionate. I carry on a conversation. It's the world's easiest thing to do, and it is the best way to make a sale. So eventually they'll come down to what does it cost, and you'll just give them one number. And that number is, the entire cost of remediation. If you're going to be on my team, I need you to do things straightforward, honest, correctly. You're not going to give them a number and then tell them, oh, wait, but you're paying the sampling, and oh, wait, but you're paying the county, and oh, there's county landfill fees that you also have to pay for. That's just not okay, and I don't want anybody on my team doing business that way. They will write one check to you, and then you're going to cover everything else under that umbrella. I need to have my reputation be spotless so that I can keep getting jobs, so that I can keep sending them to you. So the process, again, just going over that. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to talk to them, and some number of days later they'll call you back and say, okay, I'm hiring you. At that point, People ask me if I have a contract, and I don't, and I've never needed one. It's never bit me in the butt. Basically, I tell them to send me a text or an email that says, okay, I'm hiring you to do a meth remediation on this property. This is the amount that we agreed to, and here's how you get a key. And so, it comes down to as simple as that. An email is probably preferred because it's a little more formal than a text, but pretty much anything that is written down in whatever form is adequate. Be very careful about people who want to pay you, for example, at closing. The risk there, and the risk is huge, is that the remediation might happen and maybe the buyers decide not to close. And now in order to get paid at all, anytime, you've got to go down to the county and pay a filing fee and actually file a lien on that house, so that at some moment in future history, or in the future, maybe perhaps years from now, you might get paid when they do sell that home, perhaps to somebody else. You really want to get paid when the house gets cleared. People make promises about making payments, and they don't. In addition, I had one where somebody says, well, my money guy didn't provide me the money today, but I'll send it to you in 3 days, I think is what he said. And guess what? I never got paid on that one. I got stiffed for a lot of money because I paid a guy to do the trash out, and that all ended up coming out of my wallet. Obviously, you do that once, you have that happen to you once, and you're not going to let that happen to you again. You get paid before the guy walks out of the house with his final documentation. Be very clear on that. Now, so we've got the approval. Everybody's clear on what the amount is that you're going to be paid. You can, if you think you can get away with it, ask for a little bit of money up front, but generally people just want to pay you at the end. You're going to want to find out how to get the keys. You got to be able to get into the property, arrange for the keys to be left somewhere, or you go pick them up, or however you're going to do that. That's the next step. The pictures and floor plan, you're going to get into that property, and without doing any work, you're just going to take pictures of every room. At least 2, preferably 3. The county likes to see what sort of condition the place is in. They want to know if it's empty, if the trash has been removed, or if it has, couches and cereal boxes and crap in there, because they know that if there's a lot of crap in there, they're going to expect you to remove that stuff and show a receipt, a landfill receipt showing that it has been disposed of. And by the way, one of the most important things you do in a remediation is you keep those landfill receipts. If you lose those, you have got to get on your knees and beg for mercy, and you may or may not get it. You've got to have those receipts. Those things stay in your wallet until they are scanned and put into your computer in the right folder. Those are huge, and you can't lose them. I made a point to one of my workers once. I says, you need to keep those on you until you put them in my hands. Guess what he did? He put them in my glove compartment. I didn't know. I went through my glove compartment, saw a pile of paper, threw it out, and it turns out that some of that crap that was in my glove compartment was landfill receipts. So in the glove compartment or in the truck anywhere is not good enough. It needs to be in his hands, on his person, until it is in your hands, on your person, and you know exactly where it is. Because that's part of the final report, and if you can't prove that you disposed of that stuff properly, you are hosed. Hope I'm clear enough on that one. So after the pictures and floor plan, what you're going to do is you're going to write up a work plan. Work plan is basically the document to the county that says, here we are, here's our certification number, here's the owner, here's his contact information, and here's how we're going to do the procedure. Once you've done 1 or 2 of those, basically the only thing that you change is the little bit of write-up about the house itself. The county likes to see enough language in there so that it's not just a cookie cutter work plan. So what they like to see is, we're in an area, and you can look this up on Google Maps, we're in an area where we've got a chapel on, a half mile to the north. It's a residential area, except for it's commercial off to the east. You can say there's a school over here a quarter mile away. The house is 1959. It's 2,000 square feet. It has a basement. It's a rambler. It's got a loft, whatever. And you've got to come up with a number of words to describe this house so that the county knows that it's not a cookie cutter. It is, but they don't think it's a cookie cutter sort of a work plan. Okay. The work plan, once it is written up by you, then it's got to go to the client. You got to email that to him. There's a signature page that he needs to sign, scan, and send back to you. Once you've got that, then you've got to send the entire packet to the county. It used to be that you had to drive those things up, and that was really annoying, but now you can send those up via email. The entire packet is basically the work plan document itself, the floor plan, and by the way, the floor plan can be back of the envelope quality. It doesn't have to be beautiful, but I mean, it can't be so ugly that it makes you look bad. But a lot of the stuff that I have submitted is hand-drawn. It's just not, if you got a square room, it should look somewhat rectangular on the drawing. So once things, and then you've got to send those before pictures also to the county. Chances are that your camera is going to take them at some high res, and if you send high res pictures to the county, it's going to be very difficult for you to send them and for them to receive them. So you've got to bring those pictures down in quality to maybe 640 by 480 so that you can send those. And again, in those pictures, you want to make sure you've got lots of pictures, at least 2 of every room, preferably 3. And you want to make sure that, especially that they can see the floor so that they can know to expect if there is carpet or whatever, if there's hardwood, they need to see the floor so that they have an idea of what's going on there. Now the county has the write-up and the work plan. They're going to approve that, and now this work plan becomes gospel for them and for you. However it is that you told them that you're going to do this remediation is what they're going to hold you to. In that category, one of the things that they require, especially if it's Carla, and I'll talk more about Carla later, but she's going to require basically wash, rinse, wash, rinse. And I think it's dumb because she's not there to watch you. And she doesn't know how remediation is done. She has no idea. And she is requiring a procedure, which I don't think she can do. I think she can require a result. But the reality is, it's government. They're their own boss. There's nobody reviewing them. And so you've got to do what they tell you to do. Is it right? No. But if it's Salt Lake County, and especially if it's Carla, they're the boss. You got to do it their way. So now we've got a work plan right up, that's done. Next thing you can do is actually begin the physical work in the house. And that is the trash out. So what you're going to do is you're going to get the big stuff out. And we're going to talk about what the trash out is in one of the next sections. But the trash out's going to take a few days. Once the trash is out and you've cleaned the place up, now you can begin the chemical treatment. And that will be, not very long for a chemical treatment. You can do that in couple of hours or less. And we're going to talk about how the treatment goes in one of the other segments too. But you're going to treat, and then you're going to leave the house, and you're going to give that house time to simmer or marinate or just have the nasty chemicals kind of do their thing and dissipate. Then you're going to treat it again at least one more time. Depending on the level of contamination, you might want to treat it a 3rd time or perhaps even a 4th before you start sampling. Reason for that is that sampling is a very expensive process, and often it's not uncommon at all for a house to have 12 to 15 samples, and each of those are $35. So you're spending $500 for the first sample set, and if it turns out the house wasn't clean, and every room, say, is dirty, then you're going to be doing treatment again and sampling again. If you're having to redo every room, that's another $500 out of your pocket. and you're starting to lose your profit margins really fast. So you want to be very generous about the treatments before you start doing sampling. Okay, sampling, you're going to want to invite the county, especially if you're in Salt Lake County or north. In many cases, those counties, if you do sampling and you did not invite them, they might not validate the sampling results. Especially when you are new, they like to see the way you do it, and they like to dictate where and how you do it so that they know it's done properly. Once they start to gain some confidence in you, they'll back off a little, but based on my experience, some of those guys never back off. So you're going to do the sampling, then that goes into the county or into the lab, and it's waiting there for 5 days for a regular turnaround. If everything is kosher after round 1, then you do your final write-up, and again, that's on a form that is provided by Salt Lake County, in which I can get to you as well. And you write up your final report. You arrange to meet with the county and the homeowner. And by the way, the only person who you should allow to pay you is the homeowner. That's the person who needs to hire you and who needs to be responsible for your bill. Obviously, if a potential buyer says he's hiring you, he doesn't own the home, and he may or may not ever actually pay you once the remediation is done. So the person who is holding the bill will always be the homeowner. That you need to do that just so that you can make sure, again, that you get paid. So the procedure that I just described, if getting approval takes a day, getting keys takes a day, doing pictures and floor plans takes a day, the write-up takes a day, to the client takes a day, getting it back to you gets a day, to the county gets a day, and assuming that the county actually takes 2 days for approval, then assuming that your trash out takes 3 days, and you're doing 3 rounds of trash out and wait, or not trash out and wait, treatment and wait, and each of those is 3 days, because you're going to treat, you're going to wait 2 days, you're going to treat, you're going to wait 2 days, etc. Then you've got the sampling, and you've got to wait for 5 days after that. Then you've got the final report, and once the final report is done, then you've got to arrange to meet with the other affected parties. That might take a couple of days. If under that scenario, that takes 32 days, and that doesn't account for weekends. So you can see this process takes a while. I typically tell people to count on about 30 days. Usually, if you move it along, you can get it done in, sometimes 3 weeks. But over the phone, if somebody asks how long it takes, then you tell them it's to plan on 30 days. And then sometimes, if you can move it faster. Another thing I would tell you is that everybody wants it done yesterday. And once you take a job, you better be on it and moving and communicating with them, or you're going to have some pissed off customers, and your chances of getting referral business, go down through the floor. So, that's not something that I have in one of these segments, but yeah, everybody wants it done right now. Everybody thinks their property is the most important, and you don't get to move slowly. And, that's obviously for me, my motivation is that I get work again from these same clients, and that happens when you do things well, which means you get the project done, you're working, you're not taking time off for vacations, you're not just deciding that you're going to go do something else for a few days. Once you've got that project, you go quickly. Can't understate that one either. If you make me look bad, you know how that results. Okay, in the next segment, we got some other segments. We're going to be talking about what the trash out looks like, what goes, what stays, the sampling, the remediation, PPE, etc. We'll be right back.